Alright, good evening guys. How is everybody? I'm having such a problem with that intro video. It just always seems to break on me. I don't know why. Maybe I need to start it again. Anyway, greetings from Oklahoma. Hello JW. I did get your updated list. Evening Andy, and evening James Gibb, and Carrie tuning in all the way from Canada. So yeah, I actually have no idea if Oklahoma is a west coast or east coast. I've never been there. But thanks for tuning in, Steve. How you doing? And Real, good evening. So yeah, as we always do on a Sunday night, we look at army lists submitted by the community. It's always a fun show. We always figure out a few things that are strong or weak, or we get into some discussion. If you have a question in the chat, please feel free to just shout it out whenever you like, basically. I do try and get to a lot of the questions. It's right bang in the middle. Okay. Cool. I've never been to the middle. I've been to the East Coast and the West Coast. Never been to the middle. Evening DTM. And yeah, we've got 3 lists at the moment. The last couple of weeks, there's been so many submissions to the show because of the Armor of Content changes. I've been prioritizing members lists for I think 2 or 3 weeks now. I think there might be one more week of member prioritization after this, and then we'll get back to reviewing non-members lists as well. I do like to obviously review the non-member lists, but you know, basically members get priority here on the channel, I guess. So and if you aren't a channel member, you can do that. Either head over to Patreon which will be a link in the video description, or click the join button underneath the video. That is how you can become a channel member. Good evening, Hot Water. First pints on you, says Steve. Okay, maybe one day, Steve. No promises when that would be. Let me just change one of my lights in here, make it a little bit less, a little bit more blue. Okay. Live chat looks like it's showing fine, and I'm showing it in the stream as well. So, maybe just refresh the page, Carrie. Manuel says, brace yourself for a new chapter approved in roughly 2 months. Yeah. Chapter approved is coming thick and fast this season. I really hope it's going to be a little bit cheaper now that the points costs are not in chapter approved. I guess we'll see. I ordered the Night Codex yesterday. I don't know if you guys ordered the Night Codex. I did because being able to field a knight is a cool option. I thought I'd do a video on that. However, I was kind of surprised. Good evening, Viking. Hi. I was kind of surprised when I went to pre-order it. It's £32 in the UK for the Night Codex, which means, I guess, like what is it in America? $45, maybe. I don't know. It seemed expensive. £32 for the Night Codex, anyway. It seemed expensive to me. Prex says you'll be a commander. What is up? What is up, Prex? I'm good, thank you. And James Gibbs says it's 9.9k subscribers we have on the channel now. It looks like you may be getting a Storm Speeder on the live game tomorrow. I don't get 100 subscribers in a day, James Gibbs. Maybe a week or week and a half, something like that. I get roughly 10 subscribers a day. Probably on average. So I think I need another week and a half to get to 10,000. I'm very excited to get to 10,000 though. And I'm actually going to give the Plastic Crackheads a bit of a shout out this week because Andrew last minute has agreed to play me tomorrow, so we do have another game against Tau. He's bringing what he's tried to upgrade his Tau list after we crushed it last week. And I guess I really wouldn't have the same level of support without the guys from Plastic Crackheads like always being available on a Monday night to play against me. So I'm going to give them a shout out this week, I think, because yeah, I wouldn't be able to do live games without them. So, and they always accommodate me. So, cool. All right, let's get into the first list for today. We got 3 lists. They are submitted by members. They are Chris Catherwood, JW, and Nathan Keller. And I believe I have Chris Catherwood's list open here. So let's start with that one. Yeah, and if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button on the stream at some point, that would also appreciate that, because the more likes, the more people on YouTube see it, and it does help me out a bit. Okay, hey John, greetings. Thought I'd put this new list up for review. I've been having decent success with lists very similar. Drop the Blade Guard for Plasma Inceptors. Well, our Math Hammer this week actually said that Gravis Marines are actually very survivable now. To get more shooting, drop Storm Shields on the Vanguard Veterans to beef up the Sangri Guard and Death Company squads. Eliminators are there as mid-board intimidation tactic and a legit character threat, so I guess it's like snipery eliminators. They are hard to remove in cover now. I guess an eliminator's on a 0-up save in cover now, right? Because it's a 3-up save, +2, ignoring EP1. Yeah, so basically eliminators in cover now basically have a 0-up save. So you need to hit them with -3 to just put them on a 2-up to put them on a 3-up save, and -2 they're just saving on 2s, which is very decent. Quake Bolts to help the Death Company or Vanguard Veteran Squad. I do like Quake Bolts. Priest for Early Assault Doctrine, Priest for Early Assault Doctrine, primarily an OBSEC and charge rerolls. Okay. Battalion with 9999 points. Our Warlord is a Primaris Chaplain on a bike with Master of Sanctity, with Armor Indomitus and Wiserator and Gift of Foresight, Litany of Hate, Litany of Faith, which is the Mortal Wound Shrug, and Mantra of Strength. I don't think you could... Oh yeah, you can. I was thinking this is Canticle of Hate. So Litany of Hate is the rerolls for melee, Litany of Faith is the Mortal Wound Shrug, Mantra of Strength gives the Chaplain +1 strength, +1 damage, +1 attack. Sangri Priest, with a jump pack for 120, Icon of the Angel and Rites of War. So rerolling charges on a bubble and adding obsec to units within 6. Troops, assault intercessors, incursors, and infiltrators, 1 squad of each. Elites, Sangri Guard 7, 6 axes, 2 infernals, 1 power fist and plasma. Sangri Guard 7, 6 swords, 2 infernals, 1 power fist and plasma. I'm not really sure the reasoning behind the plasma. It seems like wasted points. I don't mind the power fist. If this was me, I would have each squad with 3 axes and 3 swords, because I think it's super difficult in game to be like, this squad of swords is going to be best in this position, and this squad of axes is going to be best in this position. And even if you deploy your Sangri Guard last, I still think that's a super difficult thing to do, so I prefer to split my squads kind of evenly with swords and axes. But I mean, it's semantic, I guess. Good evening, Zardoz. Vanguard Veterans 7 with jump double lightning claws. So my video this week basically said that storm shields, I think, are still super important. I still rate storm shields a lot, especially on Vanguard Veterans. They seemed, and the maths that we looked at this week in the storm shield video, they seemed to lose a lot by not having storm shields. So I don't like the whole squad of Vanguard Veterans with lightning claws. I would have some with storm shields in there. We then have a 10-man Death Company with 5 Thunder Hammers and 3 Infernal Pistols. Alright, so big commitment on the Death Company. And I guess in terms of buff-wise, it's just really Assault Doctrine we've got for Death Company in turn 1. We've got those Plasma Inceptors who are in Gravis, who obviously got a lot better now. We've got 3 squads of Eliminators. One has the Sergeant with the Bolt Carbine and Quake Bolts, and the other 2 are just standard as you come. I forget what the name of the Eliminators rifles are. I forget. I'm pretty sure they're strength 5 minus 2 damage, but I forgot what they're called. Eliminators. They're just called a bolt sniper rifle. Yeah, strength 5 minus 2 damage. Oh yeah, and 6s do morals. So potentially you get 9 shots every turn, or 8 shots of this every turn. So the Eliminators, I guess, Eliminators also have concealed positions, so you can forward deploy them. You know that they're super survivable in cover. If you can see enemy characters, there's potentially a lot of shots you can dish out onto the enemy characters. I think 2 squads of Eliminators can kill enemy characters reasonably decently. I think 3 squads is maybe like you're attempting to set. If I was playing into this list, right? If I'm playing into a list where the opponent has 3 squads of Eliminators, my characters are just never going to be out of cover, I guess. And if you do that, how... Obviously some armies can't do that, but I feel like Blood Angels, we can do that. My experience of running Eliminators really made me prefer the Las Fusel with the Instigator Bolt Carbine on the Sergeant. Like... Yeah, I mean, I guess lookouts are, you can... We don't I don't think we've seen any tournament lists winning tournaments with 3 squads of snipery Eliminators. I mean, you've got no rerolls for them, I guess. I was gonna say, like, so if we just use like a strength 4 Marine or toughness 4 Marine, let's just take a captain. Like, how much damage? Let's say I have a captain, like toughness 4, 5 wounds, 85 points. Right? Like, would it be better to do a Primaris captain? You know what? We'll just do a firstborn captain, right? So like, we've got 8. Imagine all 8 Eliminators can shoot him, right? So we've placed them really well. All 8 can actually hit the captain. So we're hitting on 2s, right? we're wounding on 3s. Remember that we did 6.6 hits, because that's going to come back at the end for the mortal wounds. So we're wounding on 3s. They're only -1 because the captain has the 4-up invulnerable save. So times 0.5. So 8 eliminators shooting a captain are going to do like... These are 2 damage each. So they're going to do 2.4 wounds to him, because it's just going to be this times 2, right? And then we're going to add the... Essentially, it's going to be 1.111 repeating, of course, mortal wound. So, plus 1.111. So, if all 8 eliminators can see the captain, yes, they can kill the captain in a single turn, I guess, if the dice goes correct. But that's 225 points. And that's you just killing one captain with 4 or 5 wounds. Or 5. Yeah, you're killing one captain with 5 wounds. How does... You know, what does 225 points of Sangri Guard kill? Because I run a squad that's 229 points of Sangri Guard, and that's 7 Sangri Guard with, I think it's like 4 axes, 3 swords, 1 infernal pistol. And, I mean, they have the potential to do 50 or 60 damage in a turn, right? Because it's like, even without the Assault Doctrine, for example, you know, 7 of them times 4 hits. You can usually hit on 2s, re-rolling 1s. You can usually wound, let's say we wound on, even if we wound on 4s, which is unlikely, we usually wound on better than 4s with Sangri Guard. You know, like a 225 point squad of Sangri Guard, even wounding on 4s. So, I mean, if they were fighting that same character, we'd be wounding on 2s. So that's probably what we should, you know, if we're into toughness 4, we should actually probably do that. So like, Sangri Guard into the same toughness, can actually do 38.8 wounds. So yeah, eliminators fill a different role. They can sit on objectives and they can do some sniping. I just don't know if sniping 4 or 5 wounds away from a character is worth what you give up. I like eliminators with las fusils. I think they're good because las fusils are 3 damage. They can pop critical wounds off vehicles. I mean, like, these guys aren't really going to do anything into vehicles. The mortal wounds they give are like so random and so low. And Vindicator can do the same with the headshot rule. It certainly can. I'm not a huge fan of running 3 squad of eliminators. I have a squad of sniper eliminators and I've got a squad of las fusil eliminators, and anytime I think about eliminators, personally I just think about the las fusil ones, because I've played like eliminators like this into Death Guard, right? You guys know I play Death Guard a lot. If you play these guys into Death Guard, suddenly their 2 damage guns become 1 damage, and also they only wound on 4s because Death Guard are all toughness 5. So into Death Guard, I mean, you know, why don't we just do it, right? Like, let's say all 8 eliminators again can see a Death Guard character. Let's pick someone in Death Guard that's like pretty weak. A Bile Piper. So they're just like 4 wounds, T5. This is a 65 point model. So like you've got your 8 shots. You're only wounding on 4s. Okay, yeah, I guess he doesn't get a save. But it's only 1 damage, actually. So, like, I guess if you were shooting a Death Guard character, maybe there's a better one that would actually get a save. It's just got like a 3-up armor save. What Death Guard character has a 3-up armor save? I'm not... I know the one I'm thinking of. Let me think. Not Epidemius. What's the one that makes you fight last? Oh, I know the name of it. Someone's gonna tell me. The one that makes you fight last is he's got the stink aura. This is Death Guard. Oh no, this came in Chaos Demons, that's why I'm not saying it. Death Guard. Oh, it's Death Guard, 2 words. I don't even know if didn't even know Death Guard was 2 words. Um, Biologist Putrefier. See the one that makes you fight last? Thought it was like the Foul Blight Spawn. Is that not the guy? Foul Blight Spawn. I'm sure he's got a 3-up save. Yeah, okay, so the Foul Blight Spawn. This is the guy that makes you fight last in Death Guards. This is the guy you would need to kill. So on his 3-up save, these rifles are now just -1, right? Assuming you can shoot them in turn 1, I guess they could be -2. Potentially, even if you got lucky and score a mortal wound or something, and you could see this guy, and there's the chances of the enemy letting you see him are slim to none. You've just spent 225 points to do 2 damage, maybe 3 if you luck out and roll a 6. Yeah, I mean, Eliminators can hold positions on the map. I guess they can maybe be quite survivable in shooting. But yeah, I don't know if I like 3 squads of them as actual snipers. I don't think Blood Angels really like. If you guys have been watching the channel for a while, I tried to run snipers. I ran Eliminators with a Phobos Captain and upgraded the Phobos Captain to have a 4 damage rifle. And honestly, it was kind of underwhelming. And also because these guys never do any damage at all in melee. Later in the game, if you do end up with them in melee, they're just kind of useless. Into Demon Prince, these guys would do nothing, I'm guessing. Reziel. Demon Prince is like... What? So if you could get all 8 shooting the Demon Prince, you're only going to wound on 5s. So, and the Demon Prince will save... Let's just say he saves on 5s, but he would save on 4s if it's not turn 1. You're going to be lucky to do 2 wounds against the Demon Prince, which is 225 points. It's kind of crazy. 3 Eliminators, I think, are better. 2 with Lattice Fusel and 1 with the Bolt Carbine. Use them as like action monkeys, moving around the board, taking pop shots at high toughness enemies for the -3/3 damage. What can you do? And then you could take a squad of Eradicators. I don't know. I think Eradicators... Yeah. So this list has 4 jump units. All of them are decent, but the double Lightning Claw one I think has a weakness in that it's not going to be that survivable. The Plasma Inceptors are fine. There is no way in this list to re-roll hits for the Plasma Inceptors, so you can kind of never fire these Plasma Inceptors on high power. Right, he has no way to re-roll hits. So I actually think the heavy firepower coming out of this list is kind of weak. I hate Plasma Inceptors at the best of times. I hate them even more if you've got no way to reroll hits. And Reziel would add a Sangri Ancient and some Eradicators. I mean, with 4 jump pack units, it wouldn't hurt to have a Sangri Ancient. Oh, Chris, you're in the chat. Cool. You tried to drop the Intercessors and put Blade Guards back in. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I just think I would probably swap out the Eliminators for... sniping characters, I don't think it's going to be... I think it's something... If you're playing on like official GW terrain, I think it's something that's going to be weak. Games Workshop at the moment are recommending 15 pieces of terrain on the board. So having 15 pieces of terrain, it's going to be difficult to place Eliminators where you can get all 8 shooting on the same target. Yeah, true, against Death Guard, there's no point to putting them on high power. But still, if your main fire support can never be shot on high power, that's going to... I think in some situations you definitely want the... If you're going to run Plasma Inceptors, I think you need to be able to fire them on high power. You don't always have to fire them in high power, but I think it needs to be an option. And to do that, you obviously need a Dreadnought with Wisdom of the Ancient, or you need someone that's giving rerolls. Eliminators don't kill much. They hold ground and occasionally they pop off. Yeah, I think that's how I would rate Eliminators, but I think you're better with the las cannons or the las fusils. Yeah, and well, Gravis Marines on paper look like they're a lot more survivable now. Reziel, I don't know if you saw the Gravis Marine math this week. All right, let me think of some scoring here. So OBSEC troop holding, I think you're fine on like an 8.5. Actually, we'll give you 9.5 because you've got Rights of War in there. So OBSEC is actually pretty strong in this list. Anti-Horde, I guess we've got 14 Sangri Guard bolters. Couple of other bolt rifles in here. Bolt rifle and the Sergeant, and I mean, I guess the Eliminators can fire a little bit anti-Horde, and the Plasmas. So I'd say anti-Horde in this list is weak. I really think the Eliminators is the thing that I'm disliking about this. I think you said it yourself, Chris. Like, occasionally the Eliminators pop off, right? Like, if you're making a list to take to a tournament, you don't want to be going like, well, occasionally that unit's a good one, you know. And I think that's why essentially I dropped Relic Contemptor Dreadnoughts out of my tournament list, because like I was running them. I'm gonna have to be right back for like 1 second. Relic Contemptor Dreadnoughts. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. My daughter just woke up. Yeah, let me say, like, Relic Contemptor Dreadnoughts, for example. Like, I dropped them out of my tournament list, right? Because sometimes, I mean, when I played them in the tournament, or I played them before the tournament, sometimes it's like, great, Relic Contemptors, you shoot one Volcon and you do 5 mortal wounds. And then another time, or at the top table of the tournament, I shot it and I did no mortal wounds on both barrels, right? So it's like, it's fine, but it's also like, in a tournament setting, you don't really want something that can be that swingy in your list, I feel like. And Redemptor Dreadnoughts really border on that line as well, because like the D6 shots from the Redemptor Dreadnought, like sometimes it's awesome when you roll 6, sometimes it really sucks when you roll 1. So I think, personally, I prefer to not have to rely on dice at a tournament, right? Like, top players win tournaments over and over and over. They never complain about the dice. The dice just roll averages, right? So That's my thinking behind the eliminators. So if you think that they sometimes pop off and they sometimes don't, then you've probably answered your own question, Chris. You kind of need to find a replacement for them that over the course of many games will be more average. I really liked the eliminators when they could auto actions before the latest update. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can still boot banners up. They're just not good for retrieving that Monday anymore, which is sad. Mike's actually dropping all his dreadnoughts from his 1500 point list. Redemptor Dreadnought with plasma is insanely swingy, way too much, says Alexis. Yeah, I'm kind of on that board as well. I like the Redemptors. I think they fit a lot with Blood Angels, and I actually own 3 of them, but at the moment, I'm kind of pulling away. Alright, anyway, let's keep scoring the list. Anti-vehicle monsters. Hey, how many 3 damage weapons you got on this list? So you get the Chaplain, you get the 2 Infernals here, and you got 3 Infernals here. So you've got about 8 3 damage weapons. So I feel like that's low. Some people don't think -1 damage is super needed, but I do think 8 3 damage or more weapons is low. Mobility-wise, overall is pretty good. Eliminators all have concealed positions. All these guys are jump units. The only one you really have to worry about is Assault Intercessor. So yeah, mobility-wise, I guess like we could really say your mobility is like a 9. And Specialization, so we don't have any way to deny Overwatch, or fight last, excuse me. We don't have denies. We kind of do have units for actions, and that like we've got 6. We get the 3 troops, we get the 2 Sangri Guard, we get the Vanguard veterans, and then we get 3 eliminators. So we kind of do have units for actions. Just units for actions has changed a bit, like you mentioned. 3 damage weapons is low. CP starting off is high enough, and mortal wound protection. I guess we got that in a sense from the Sangri Priest. I know a 6 isn't very great, but we also have Litany of Faith. So we do have 2 mortal wound protections. I think Specialization overall then is kind of low. I usually say to people, like, try and hit like 2 or 3 of these things. So I think like before Nakmund, you were probably hitting like actions and CP and mortal wounds. Now you're probably just hitting CP and mortal wounds. So you probably need to think about, like, am I going to have a fight last or Overwatch? I'm going to have some denies. I'm going to have some more units for actions, because I guess 3-man units don't really work anymore for actions. And then I'm going to have more 3 damage weapons. Oh, there's 5 hammers in the list. My bad. Alright, let's move that up to 9. And we'll change that last one to 7.5. I forgot there was 5 hammers in the Death Company. I missed that. Alright, so it's 12 3 damage weapons. Much better, but tiny bit low. I think 15 should be the aim now. Honestly, I changed my list to have like 15. Or I think I did a list that had like 15 and I lost, and then I changed my list up to 18 and I started winning a lot more games. So I think like I used to recommend 10 3 damage or more weapons. I really think 15 is more what you should be aiming for now. Alexis plays Raven Guard, and I'm trying out Assault Centurions and loving them. Framer drills, 5-man with Sergeant having a Melta. Everything about them is great into AOC. Do you know what? I've got Assault Centurions. Maybe I should run them tomorrow, actually. They're 165 points. I was thinking of master crafting the Sergeant's drill. I thought that would be a cool trick. I have my whole squad with Flamers, though. Thing is, if I've played the Centurions one time and they do really well, I'm just going to want to play them every game again. They're elites, aren't they? Centurion Assault Squad. Power level 9, I think, is what interests me. So I just throw 1 CP to throw them in reserve. I mean, if you mastercraft the siege drill of the Sergeant, then every fail is like a dead crisis suit. That's pretty nice. Can we just take a moment to collectively go what the fuck over Thunderhammers only? Putting normal Marines on 4-up saves. AP and Marine weapons need an overhaul. I mean, Thunderhammers, I guess, have really hit the nerf bat recently. Into Armor of Contempt, they're obviously a bit worse, aren't they? Mastercraft a Flamer. I think I'd rather Mastercraft the Drill, honestly. Because again, the Flamer's swingy, right? With a Drill, you know, with a Sergeant, I guess you know you're getting, what, 6 attacks? Quake Bolts also would be really good with Centurions. I never used to run Quake Bolts when I ran my Centurions, but yeah, I was trying to think, can I fit my Centurions and Quake Bolts into the list? I think I could, but I would have to drop the Land Speeder or something else. I think I'd have to drop the Land Speeder. I'm not sure I'd like that idea. Land Speeder comes in really handy for engaging all front points, you know that? Anyway, okay, so back to Chris's list. Sangri Ancient would help you quite a bit here, because if you're going for that turn 1 charge, turn 1 offense, you could give the Death Company +1 to hit, right, with the banner from the Sangri Ancient. You can also give them a 2-inch additional move, essentially giving them a 26-inch turn 1 move if you pay the Forlorn Fury CP. So that's something that might be really interesting. I think 3 squads of Eliminators. I'm fine with 1 squad, but I really think you should just run them with Las Fusils, and just think of the Las Fusils as like a way to pick off enemies that have, you know, like if you run into enemy Terminators, you might be able to pick off a Terminator turn. That to me is more important than like picking a couple of wounds off a character. The thing is, most of the time, Blood Angels, you just kill the characters in melee combat. You don't need to sniper them. You just charge them. And then, yeah, I mean, if you did make this like a 85-point Las Fusil squad, and you did include a Sangri Ancient for 110, you did lose these 2. And you said you were running Blade Guard veterans here, like BGVs for 105 or something. You potentially get, what, 75 points back plus 150 minus 110. So you could have about 100 points. Now I'd probably maybe just lose like 1 Marine in the Death Company and run a squad of Eradicators. For 135 points, especially wearing Gravis armor, I think Eradicators with 6 multi-melta shots essentially are actually really, really, really well costed now, I guess, because Gravis are just so survivable, right? How do we get our list reviewed? You head over to the community tab of the Blood Angels Commander channel, and you post your list like from BCP into the community tab. The community tab always has like just random community questions. It's fine, whatever question is in there, don't worry about it. Just post your list in there and I'll find it. Just be aware that non-channel members, the list time is ridiculously long at the moment, because I am getting a lot of submissions, and I've been prioritizing members because obviously members support the channel, so that has been that helps me a lot. So I don't know how else to say it. I want to do everybody's lists. I just don't have time to do everybody's. So, you know, I do everybody's. You're in a queue. Just if you want to skip to the front of the queue. Honestly, I think the review time for members at the moment is like probably like 2 or 3 weeks. The review time for non-members is like 3 or 4 months. Members skip the queue. That's how it works. Okay. I try to keep characters to minimum. Even having 2 named HQ plus a Sangri Ancient on my list makes me nervous. I think 3 characters is totally fine, Toasty Devil. But like that's what I'm running. I'm running 2 HQ in the Sangri Ancient. I think 3 characters is fine. I think if you go over 3 characters, you open up Assassination as a pick against you. I mean, some people will pick Assassinate against you if you've got 3 characters, but I think if you have 4, then it seems like a no-brainer to assassinate against. If I come up in a tournament list against someone that's got 4 or 5 characters, it just makes one of my secondaries like super easy. I'm like, well, I know I'll kill half of them probably. So straight away, that's like 8 to 10 points. If you look at the average points scored for most secondaries in tournament play, most of them score like an average of 7 or 8. So if you can pick a secondary where you're always going to score 7 or 8 or more, then you could pick it every single time. James Gibbs says membership is well worth the money. John even does a drunk show on New Year's Eve. I did do a pretty interesting show on New Year's Eve last year, didn't we? Okay. I mean, maybe this year we could get some community members on for drinks as well. That could be fun. We'll all get in Discord and have some community members come on for drinks. Okay. Alright, yeah, Chris, if you've got any other comments, just drop them into chat, or bring them to me in Discord, or redo your list and submit it to me again, because I would like to see it again, I'm sure. But yeah, I think if you're losing the plasmas, replace them with eradicators. That gives you like 45 points to spare, lose 2 squads of eliminators. I really think you could... No, I think you could keep 1 squad eliminators with las fusils, and I do like the sergeant with the quake bolts and the move, shoot, move, and the I think that part of eliminators is really good. I just guess that like the change to Nakman data hurt 3-man squads like a lot more than it did before, right? As a current non-drinker, I could join to moderate. We would probably need a moderator, Mike. Yeah. You could be the moderator. When you get to 10,000 subs, we want to see some Terminator heads on Vanguard. I need to make another conversion and get some random head on it, and see what people in the chat say. Do you know what? Maybe I can flick this camera. Let's see. Let me see if the autofocus is working. Yeah, look at this guy. He's got a random... No, go this way. Like this head. He's got a Inceptor... He's got an Inceptor blast shield head. I gotta keep you guys guessing with what heads are on what models, huh? A beaky head on a Terminator, that's what you want to see next? Wow, that would get people raging, wouldn't it? Highland likes Eradicator like that. Well, that's cool. So some people like my head conversion, some people don't. Okay, on to JW's list. Hi BC, apologies. I think I'm down for the Sunday's Army list. Can you please review it and change to this list below? Yeah, I got this message from you. Thank you. 2,000 points exactly, 10 CP. I like starting with loads of CP, so this is cool. Alright, we got Librarian, Veil of Time, Might of Heroes, Null Zone, Chapter Command, Chief Librarian, Force Sword, Infernal Pistol, Psychic Mastery, Warlord. Alright, pretty aggressive Librarian here. Interestingly, I guess Psychic Fortress probably lost some value with Armor of Contempt. So I guess it makes sense to pick Veil of Time, Mighty Heroes, Null Zone. Chris says, I'm going to drop all the Eliminators and Inceptors and maybe Death Company for a free Blade Knight, I think. Built 2 Knights this week, going to make them Blood Angels. That's cool. I really want to get a Knight. I just don't know which one I'm getting yet, but I've ordered the Knight Codex, so we'll see. I put Primaris head on a firstborn Landspeeder, John. Nice. If you shared the photo, did anyone flame you for it? Alright, Sangri Priest as the Selfless Healer. And I guess again, we've just kind of... I guess we're not spending too many CP at the beginning on this list. Okay. Interesting to not take Angel's Artifice. Or not... Sorry, Angel's Exemplar on Librarian to get a second Warlord trait. I wonder if there would be a second Warlord trait that would benefit this guy. Like, what's he susceptible to? Like, do you need him to be more survivable? Could he take Iron Resolve? Or are you making him as a bit of a beat stick? I guess you've got an Infernal Pistol and a Force Sword. Would it be worth taking Imperium Sword? Get +1 strength, +1 attack? Reroll your charges? I mean, it feels like your charge might be quite important if you've got Null Zone. Okay. I guess this guy probably actually got quite a bit of value added to him, right? As well with oh, it would need to be a Blood Angels trait if you added the second Warlord trait, says Highland Phoenix. Yeah, that's very true. What one would you suggest? Gift of Foresight? Is there a better one? I suppose you could take Artisan of War and give him the Shrug or something like that. Or Artisan of War, what about you could Mastercraft his Force Sword? That might be cool. Make the Force Sword. We don't see that very often, but you could take the... I think you could take the 1 plus D3 damage. Alright, two squads of Incursors and a squad of Assault Intercessors. It seems like everybody's just running this. I think it's great. For me, it always seems like I should just run 3 squads of Incursors, but I always feel like I'd rather save 10 points, so I run this, and I think this is good. It's interesting. I guess, JW, you need to let us know how you planned on run the Librarian, but I think both options are there are good, right? Like, give him a 5-up Shrug. Obviously, that helps him if he's casting Psychic powers, or if he's going to be... Yeah, or Mastercraft a sword, or Gift of Foresight, or something like that. You wouldn't be able to take Stealth Adept because the second Warlord trait needs to be a Blood Angel one if you use the stratagem for that. His first Warlord trait is Psychic Mastery, Lorenzo. Alright, Death Company with 1 Thunderhammer and the rest Chain Swords. I think that might be wrong now. I think you might want to go 2 Thunderhammers into this Death Company. I mean, I don't play Death Company enough to know precisely, but I think the majority of the community think like the ratio is almost, 2 hammers every 5 models as opposed to 1 hammer every 5 models, I think. We also have the Sangri Ancient with the Wrath of Baal to give us that +2 to move. Okay, we got a Sangri Guard, and this is a large squad. This is 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, is it? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. 9-man Sangri Guard. 1 Infernal Pistol, few axes, and a bunch of swords. I don't like them as big as a 9-man squad. But I guess let's see. I mean, I prefer to run, like, I run a 7 and a 6 at the moment. I'm running a 7 and a 6. I like that, but I guess let's see where we go. We've got the 9-man squad of Sangri Guard. We then have a Teleport Homer squad of Thunderhammer. Sorry, Sergeant with a Thunderhammer, and the rest of the squad with the pair of Lightning Claws. That's pretty neat. Again, like, an option here could be you could Mastercraft this Thunderhammer, give you a 4 damage hammer on the Sergeant. I haven't done that yet, but I have thought about it. Vanguard Veteran Squad. And it's got a good number of Storm Shields in here. Like, a very good number of Storm Shields. This is probably kind of optimal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Storm Shields. And a couple of guys with double Lightning Claws. Because, honestly, I think for the most part, the Storm Shields on the Vanguard Veterans are really good. A couple of guys with Lightning Claws here is fine for, like, optimization and points and maybe getting a little bit more damage output. So I like this Vanguard Veteran squad a lot. You can also combat squad it as well if you need to in the battle starts, and that gives you, I guess, 4 good jumps units that are going to get value out of the Sangri Ancient. We also have Bolter Inceptors, which I guess Bolter Inceptors are pretty useful against armies that you need to clear screens. Not so useful against Marines anymore, but they are a useful unit to have. Eradicators to the Melt Rifles, I think, like I said, point for point, very, very cheap in terms of like 6 multi-melta. Normally a multi-melta costs 25 points. I guess these are multi-meltas as long as you don't advance them and you focus on the same target, which is typically how you play them anyway. So Eradicators point for point, I think, are very good right now. And then the Whirlwind with the Castellan Launcher. Oliver is running 4 Thunderhammers and 6 Power Swords on the Death Company. That actually sounds pretty good. I mean, Power Swords, I guess, got a lot better, right, with the nerf to Chain Swords. Good evening, Dark Ginger. How you doing? Rizal says he thinks that's probably a few too many Storm Shields. personally, I'm running 100% Storm Shield still on Vanguard Veterans. I don't like to lose Vanguard Veterans to like low AP attacks, and people will, if you don't have the Storm Shields in there, people will pepper them with like, look at Tau and all those stupid burst cannons, you know, strength 5, no AP, 1 damage. I mean, when you're saving on 2s, you can save all day long. When you're saving on 3s, a burst cannon could kill a couple of models very easily with a few rough rolls. So, yeah, not, I think you could probably drop a couple more Storm Shields, but I actually like the squad. Personally, I like going hard on the Storm Shields. Like on my Terminator squads, I have 60% of the models with Storm Shields. I could save some points, I guess, but that's the way I like to run it. Okay. Is it better to take land speed over Inceptors now? Probably if you want to do engage on all fronts, it is. DTM says, I think I said this last week, but I'm still not sold on taking a Sangri Priest over a Chapter Master. Early Assault Doctrine, these full re-rolls seem like a wash, but captains are way tougher and fightier. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people rate the Sangri Priest's Assault Doctrine, like rate it really highly. But and did we not? When did we have the argument about this? Was it in the painting stream, where it was like, imagine 7 Sangri Guard, right? 7 times 4 in turn 1, 28 attacks. All right. So if the Sangri Ancient is around and gives them +1 to hit, right? So they would hit 23 times, right? So if you have the same 7 Sangri Guard this time, and the Sangri Priest puts them into Assault Doctrine, so they get 5 attacks per model, but you don't get the +1 to hit. Sorry, you don't get the +1 to hit. I did the math wrong. That was why I was staring at my screen confused. You actually hit more often with a squad that's not an Assault Doctrine, on average. I mean, it's a tiny number, but I guess what it's saying is you then have to decide, and I guess this is my point. If you think of the Wrath of Baal giving you those 2 inches of extra movement, and the Assault Doctrine giving you additional point of AP, if you're not in range to do the charge, then the extra point of AP is worthless, right? So it's like, Sangri Priest is more expensive as well, like considerably more expensive if you want to run him as the healer. I guess you could run him as 120 points and keep him a little bit cheaper, but the Sangri Ancient, giving the 2 inches of extra movement, giving the +1 to hit, we've not even factored in the fact that you can fight on death. I mean, we don't use it all that much, but you can do it. I prefer him to the Priest. Both units are buffing essentially a jump pack squad, right? The only other difference, I suppose, is you can pay 1 CP on the Sangri Priest, put a second unit into Assault Doctrine. I like the Priest, even the 6+ feels really nice to have against mortal wounds. So someone talked to me about this Priest in the comments this week, and the thing that happens if you run that Priest, because I've run the Priest a lot, right? The thing that happens if you run that Priest is you have a tendency to bunch your units around the Priest, because the Priest's 6+++ aura is only 3 inches. So I find if I run the Priest, my tendency is to bunch my units around the Priest, because I think like, oh well, you know, I want to get that 6-up shrug from the Priest, so I'll bunch everybody around it. Whereas like I don't feel like I have to worry about that with Ancient. I can just flank out around the board. I don't have to worry about typically being too close to any units, and it just seems to help me out more. But I run the Ancient with a Chapter Master, you know, so I can essentially have all my Sangri Guard hitting on 2s and rerolling 1s across the entire board, and that's how I like to do it. So, Toasty Devil said, here's an epiphany I had. Alright, so the Lord has spoken to Toasty Devil. He's had a moment where the Lord has spoken to him. So hold on, we gotta. I'm not sure if you know Epiphany, the manifestation of Christ, or a moment of sudden revelation. Alright, so I prefer definition number 1. The Lord has appeared to tell Toasty Devil, so we all have to be quiet and listen. Earliest Doctrine is only really good on turn 2. Unleash Rage has value every turn. Yeah, I love Unleash Rage, actually, so I'm glad that we're on the same page. Yeah, Unleash Rage is great as well. Yeah, Unleash Rage, why not? You're forgetting you can bring things back with a priest. Do we need to bring things back now, George? I'm finishing games now with like most of my army alive. Saving on Armor of Contempt is brilliant. I can't remember. I had a game recently. I had a game since Armor of Contempt where like 3/4 of my army lived. It was ridiculous. And I think I tabled the enemy, so I was fighting them all over the battlefield, right? I don't know. My opinion is I haven't run the priest in like a year. I used to feel like I struggled to find value out of the priest, so yeah, maybe you could run the priest at 120 points. It's a discussion for another day. I have an RTT next month. I'm pretty sure I'm going to run the... I'm like 99% sure I'm running the Sangri Ancient at the RTT. If I don't win the RTT, maybe I'll consider running the priest. How about that? But I get that you can run both. I get the priest has value. The priest has more value, I think, if you're running Death Company, because you get them into Assault Doctrine turn 1. That's going to help with the Thunderhammers and Chainswords for sure. They don't have a lot of AP. In this case, he's got both. So you can make the Death Company +1 to hit. He can get them to Assault Doctrine. He can get the 2 inches of extra movement. So, I mean, all these things are good. You can almost go too hard into all the buffs you can throw on the Death Company. So I like this. The Sangri Guard squad of 9 feels like a bit much. Remember, Sangri Guard don't have the greatest leadership. They just have leadership 8. So a 9, and I mean, if the enemy focuses all their firepower into Sangri Guard, they will kill them. I mean, they do have a good save, but they can still die. So my thought around this would be, is 9 the right size? But I mean, I guess the problem with your list is you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh no, you don't. I thought you had 6 elite choices. You've got 5. Okay, so you could have a 6th elite choice, which I guess would be maybe more a second squad of Sangri Guard. I think the only way you could do that is if you were willing to sacrifice some of these Vanguard veterans. If this was me and this was my list, and take this with a pinch of salt, because obviously we play the game differently. A lot of people play the game differently to how I play it. I play Blood Angels probably a bit more reserved and slow than a lot of other people. Like, my lists are usually designed to win the game in turns 3 through 5. I don't really go Alpha Strike. I don't go Death Company. If this was my list, what I would probably do is change the Vanguard Veteran into like a 6. Probably put like 2 Thunderhammers, 4 Lightning Claws there on the Vanguard Veterans, and then use the 100 points that we're saving by dropping like 4 models to make this Sangri Guard squad of 7 and a second Sangri Guard squad of 6. If it has to be 5 because you can't quite get there, I'd be okay with that as well. But yeah, I mean, like, my list at the moment is a 7 Sangri Guard, a 6 Sangri Guard, a 5 Vanguard Veterans, a 5 Terminators, the Sangri Ancient, and I don't have Death Company, so what else have I got? I get 2 Sangri Guard, the Terminators, the Vanguard Veterans. Maybe I just have 5 elites in my list. Oh, because I'm running like a lot more heavy support, I guess. I'm running like a squad of attack bikes, and I was running a land speeder as well. Okay. But I do... The thing that I don't like in 9-man squad of Sangri Guard, I think 7 typically... Like, if you've got the buffs to get them in Assault Doctrine, you can make them +1 to hit. 7 will typically do enough damage to the enemy to, like, cripple them or make them... And you've got Null Zone there as well. So yeah, I think a 9 is just asking to take like heavy losses. Like the enemy will shoot them, you'll lose like 5 or 6 of them. You'll have to take a morale check where you're going to fail it. Then one more will run or something, and I just don't like it. I think 7 is good. I bought 2 boxes. I run 9 because I bought 2 boxes. Well, I guess you need to buy a 3rd box, JW, and this is the thing with Sangri Guard is it never ends painting them. I think I've got 30 Sangri Guard now. I was counting them out. They are very good. They've become a lot better since the Armor of Contempt change. I just think because I ran an 8 in one tournament. I think I ran an 8 in one tournament, and I've tried running 9 before, but I guess it has got better. But I honestly think 7 is the optimal squad. I have said in the past 7 to 9 is fine, but yeah, maybe you need to run this first and then think about what I'm saying after. That's usually what I advise anyway, is to run what run your list after I've spoken about it and then think about the things I said. Gitley says you'll be proud of me. I've run a Whirlwind in my league list. I dropped 5 Vanguard veterans. Is that the first time you've ever run a Whirlwind, Gitley? Did it do well? Do you think we'll ever get Primaris Sangri Guard, says Jacob. I hope so, Jacob. But I mean, I've been hoping so since we got the 8th edition box set now. Oh, I think that was like 2018, summer 2018 or something. So yeah, Dante and Sangri Guard will get an update soon, says George. I mean, soon with Dr. Evil space quotes around it, right? Like, I thought soon would have been 8th edition, because I remember when Margaret Calgar got his box in 8th edition, where they released Marnius Calgar and the Victrix Guard, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, can't wait till we get that for Dante. And that was like 3 or 4 years. It feels forever ago, actually, because of the pandemic and stuff. I've lost all track of time. Do you mean GW nerf Sangri Guard now that they have AOC only if people start spamming them? And do well spamming them, I reckon. Yeah, I don't think spamming Sangri Guard is the right call. I think that people can still kill them. They can still, like, -1 damage enemies they're not very good against. But I have been having a lot of success with a 7 and a 6. But just consider that. Yeah, I mean, like, for me, Sangri Guard feels like I never have enough of them painted. I'm always buying more of them. I've run the Whirlwind 3 games now. Salamanders, Chaos Knights, and Thousand Suns. It did some good work, but was, as predicted, a big CP drain. Yeah, I mean, it is a CP drain, but it is what it is, I guess. Okay. So let me think. I like the fact you've got Eradicators in there. I love the fact you've got the Whirlwind. The Inceptors to clear out some range stuff is fine. I do wonder if you might be better with, like, land speeders now. Or a couple of, like... I think land speeders are good. Just the regular land speeders for the 70 points with the multi-meltas. Like, that might be better than the Inceptors in terms of, for, like, scoring engage on all fronts, but they are fine. I like all your squads. I do think you probably want another Thunderhammer in here. 3 damage weapons, then we've got the 3 Eradicators. We've got a Thunderhammer here, so that gives us 4. We've got a Thunderhammer here that gives us 5. An Infernal Pistol and Sangri Guard that gives us 6. We've got another Thunderhammer giving us 7. We've got Librarian with the 4th Sword giving us 8. So we are a little bit shy of 3 damage weapons. We do have a bunch of Lightning Claws which help. And I guess that's probably why it might be worth having, like, a land speeder here. Inceptors are the part you like the least because they're so bad against Marines. Yeah, I mean, fast attack for me, I think at the moment, is the land speeder. I don't own that many land speeders, but I think if I did, I'd probably run more than one of them. Land speeder with multi-melta, I think it's decent. I ran some attack bites last week with multi-meltas, and they did okay as well. So I'd be tempted to maybe double down on on that. Bolter Inceptors, I used to really like Bolter Inceptors. I guess they are kind of crappy against Marines now. Or anything that gets the Armor of Contempt rule, I guess, right? You've won every game you've used the Whirlwind in, though. Yeah, I mean, the Whirlwind is great. It can be so useful. Yeah, people are also saying they're struggling to justify the Inceptors. So the Inceptors are maybe the one weakness here. I do think you're never going to go wrong buying another box of Sangri Guard. I guess if you're worried about them releasing Primaris Sangri Guard, I guess you could buy, I don't know, some Assault Marines or something off eBay and stick the Sangri Guard wings on them in backpacks or something to make some conversions. ATVs with Meltas for 85 points. I think you're better with the land speeders over the ATVs. They're cheaper and they will score engage on all fronts, which ATVs want, unfortunately. I think engage on all fronts is actually a really valuable objective to be able to score with a list. Because Blood Angels, we're typically going to be pushing the enemy on multiple fronts. So engage on all fronts is an objective that is a secondary that we can usually score between 8 and 10 points on really easy. So that's one of the reasons that I like the speeders more. I think so. Imagine if you drop these Inceptors and put in a speeder, right? That would free you up 50 points. What could you do with the 50 points? Well, you get that extra Thunderhammer on the Death Company. I think if you're going to go Forlorn Fury and go offensive on the Death Company, then you probably want at least one more Thunderhammer. You could probably maybe take a second Thunderhammer in your Terminator squad, or another Thunderhammer in your Vanguard Veteran squad. You could even have this Vanguard Veteran Sergeant replace the Storm Shield with an Infernal Pistol. I think there's some value in that. Or you could run a Bolt Pistol and take Quake Bolts, I guess, if you wanted to get the +1 to hit. Probably say the Infernal Pistol is probably a good shout on him. The Vanguard Veterans are always going to linger around with all the Storm Shields. You're always going to get to fire that Infernal Pistol a couple of times. I would like to see you move towards 2 squads of Sangri Guard. But for now, I guess if you only have 9, run the big 9-man squad and take it from there and see how you get on with it. You could always drop like 1 or 2 Sangri Guard and take like a 4th Eradicator. I'd be okay with that as well. That gives you another 3 damage weapon, and I think Eradicators are very durable and survivable and do a lot of damage at the moment. I'm like 90% sure I'm going to start running 2 Eradicators. If you're on the painting stream last night, I was running. If you're on the painting stream last night, I was basing a bunch of Eradicators. Good night or good evening, Terrence. Thanks for tuning in. I'd still take a speeder over an attack bite. Bolters are meh. Engage is the thing, and I value the fly in the 4-inch move. Yeah, I mean, the land speeder moves 18 inches, and remember, the land speeder combos with a whirlwind. Anything that's within 18 inches, I think, of the land speeder gives the whirlwind +1 to hit, which can help a little bit, I guess, if you are needing to do some shooting, I guess. Okay, OBSEC, let's think about it. We've got the Assault and then Cursors and Cursors. We don't have anything else changing OBSEC, so 8.5. Anti-Horde, well, we'll score it as is. I mean, you do have Eliminators. You do have Inceptors. They are very good against Anti-Horde. You do have a Whirlwind, which can do a bit of Anti-Horde as well. We got the 9-man Sangri Guard bringing mostly Bolters. A couple of inconsequential Bolters here and stuff. So Anti-Horde's maybe a tiny bit stronger than the last list, but I guess nothing special. Maybe an 8. Maybe an 8's generous. I don't know. I'll leave it at an 8. 8 might be a tad generous for Anti-Horde based on the change to Inceptors. But I still do like Inceptors. You know, you bring them down, you pay 1 CB, they're hitting on 2s, it's 18 shots. It's not bad, it's just going to be a bit weaker into Marines. Okay, anti-vehicle monsters. I think we had 9 3-damage weapons, which is a little bit low. I would like to see another couple of Thunderhammers or another Infernal Pistol. 10 CP here. I'm trying to think, like, is there maybe a good Mastercraft of Thunderhammer or something? I mean, that doesn't give you another 3-damage weapon, but I would like to see a few more 3-damage weapons. Does anyone ever Mastercraft the Melta rifle for the Eradicators? Random thought. I've never done that, but I suppose you probably could, right? So maybe anti-vehicle monster is 8.5. I mean, you still have a large squad of Vanguard veterans with a ton of lightning claws. You still have a large squad of Sangri Guard. I like to split swords and axes 50-50, but I never really, if someone has a lot of swords or a lot of axes, never really mark them down for that. What one shot a full squad of 10 Scarab Occult Terminators last night? I'm such a fan of 5 Death Company with hammers. They one shot a full 10-man squad. How did they one shot the squad? That's ridiculous. Scarab Occults have like, they can have like -1 damage on them for a few CP, and then I assume they have a 4-up invulnerable save, right? Will says thoughts on a 3-man Plasma Scepter squad coming in with a Chapter Master or Dread. On a side note, how does Chapter Master and Captain trait stack? The traits never stack, if you're asking about like the reroll traits. 25 attacks, and I mean, how are you buffing them? What were you hitting on? And they can't -1 damage in combat. Oh, they can only -1 damage at shooting. Oh, right, okay. My bad. But I was going to say, they're hitting on 3s. The Thunderhammers are what, -2? Because they're ignoring 1 AP, because they're Heretic Astartes, and they've got Armor of Contempt, right? So -2, so they're saving on 4s and still killed the whole squad. That's impressive. Okay, I mean, I guess the Death Company Alpha Strike used right is very good. Fucking, how many points is a 10-man squad of Scarab Occult Terminators? It must be like 400 points, is it? Yeah, 400 points dead on the nose. That's before they add in any special weapons. That's a good trade, right? Wow, what a good trade. Okay, mobility on this list, I guess overall pretty good. Eradicators and Terminators aren't the most mobile. Assault Intercessors as well, but I think overall it's pretty good. And then Specialization. So we've got Overwatch Denial, we've got Fight Last, we've got Denies. Units for actions. I mean, we've got 3, but I guess the big squad of Vanguard veterans and the Sangri Guard could also do actions. Inceptors could potentially do some actions. 3 damage weapons is a little bit low. CP is good. Protection against mortals is just coming out from the Priest. So overall, I think this is like... Is it like an 8.5? It might even be a 9. I think it's a 9. But I think there's a couple of improvements to be made here. I think 3 damage weapons is the one that screams out at me. And yeah, also the Assault Bolt or Inceptors. I feel like there's probably just better choices now. I'm trying to think, like, if we dropped 1 Sangri Guard or 1 Van... I guess it would have to be 1 Sangri Guard. If we could drop 1 Sangri Guard, we could run like 2 Land Speeders, two Land Speeders. Or we could... Yeah, for the moment, I'd probably drop 1 and run 2 Land Speeders, and in the future work towards like the double Sangri Guard squad. It's kind of a meme, but what do you guys think about taking a unit of Armiger Free Blades as essentially fast melee dreadnoughts? It's going to be interesting to see when the Night Codex releases what the options are, Jacob. I'm going to make a video on that, and I guess we'll talk about it more. But yeah, I think it will be cool. Does Mantra Strength stack with Imperium Sword? Yes. Unless it specifically would ever say you don't get the +1 strength. Yeah, it would stack. Thoughts on 3 Plasma Inceptors, assuming you can re-rolls with a captain and saving a CP just in case. Well, you can never re-roll a re-roll. Thank you so much for subscribing, Alex Wilson. I personally have Plasma Inceptors, and I don't run them because the few times I ran, like, the way Plasma Inceptors are going to work best, right? And the way I see it, the way they're going to work best is into a unit that's got 6 enemies, right? Because then each gun gets 3 shots because it's two guns per model. So if you shoot the Plasma Inceptors at an enemy unit that has 6 or more models, you're going to get 18 shots, right? Like, if you just do the math, 18 shots times 1.6666 repeating, of course. So that's how many ones you're going to get on 18 shots. This should be 3, give or take, right? And then you're going to re-roll those ones because you've got the captain there. Again, 1.666 repeating, of course. So on average, every time you shoot on high power, there's a 50% chance, because obviously this would be repeating, like I said, so this should be 0.5. Every time you shoot them on high power, even if you have a captain next to them, there's a 50% chance that one guy will kill himself. Because you're going to there's a 50% chance you can re-roll one of those ones into another one. Because you basically have 3 dice, and you have to roll all 3, and if any of them are a 1, you kill a model. So, like, I can't get behind a strategy where, yes, you get 18 shots, strength 8, -3, 2 damage, but you have to spend 60 points to get it. Like, so you're basically saying, like, those Plasma Inceptors need to instantly kill 60 points of stuff, or just to break even from the model you lost, right? I guess some people think they're good if you're running a Sangri Priest and you can bring one back, great. But if you're not running the Priest, I don't like them, and I actually just don't like models that kill themselves. Anyway, if they did a mortal wound to themselves, you have to re-roll them all. Well, I mean, if you on the average of 18 shots, you will roll. If you roll 18 dice, you will roll 3 ones. That's the average, right? Because if you roll 6 dice, the average is you get 1-1, right? You get a 1, you get a 2, you get a 3, you get 4 or 5, 6, right? So it just seems like it's far too risky. And 60 points. If it was a mortal wound, I'd be fine with it, absolutely fine with it. But the fact it's an instant kill, I think it's dumb. Why are you so good at maths? Are you a maths teacher? Greeting from New Zealand. Funny story about that. My dad was a maths teacher. And I love my dad, bless his heart. But when I was a kid, there was none of this nonsense about, and it is nonsense, about you couldn't discipline your children. So if I couldn't do my times tables quick enough, I got hit. That's it. So I tell you, if there's physical violence involved, you get good at maths pretty darn quick. So yeah, I'm pretty good at maths. I mean, I like my dad. I had no problem with being raised strictly, I guess. Okay. Nathan, list number 3. Yeah, it's kind of funny. In Scotland, you can't, you can't hit children under any circumstances. So that's the laws here. But I think it's schools and stuff. I think some kids are like way out of control now. Whereas in my day and age, if you misbehaved, you knew about it. And I tell you what, when you got hit, you never misbehaved again. It was very simple. Okay. List number 3, Nathan Keller, 10 CP, 2,000 points. That's funny, 2 lists in a row, exactly 10 CP, 2,000 points. Alright, people are going to love this list because it's got Dante in it. I think Plasma Inceptors have play, especially in Blood Angels, with your +1 to hit strat. Most units you commit to in 9th die immediately on the strike back, which makes the overheat mute. Yeah, I guess that's true. If you're happy, if you're dropping the Plasma Inceptors expecting them to die on the return, then it's fine, I suppose, right? But, I mean, the way I've typically won games in this edition is about keeping my stuff alive as much as possible and digging my heels in and being like, you will not kill me. Mephisto's plasma pistol is easily the dumbest plasma in the game. I agree with that, Brew. So I guess it just doesn't fit my playstyle. What is the wait time for a member for list reviews? Like 2 or 3 weeks. I think I've got 3 members lists coming up next week. And then I think... So it might be... I think I might be full for the week after as well. So I guess like this is the 8th. So I think if you submitted a list today, it would be like the 29th. We've had a lot of submissions since AOC change, right? The dumbest plasma is a combi plasma on the Chaos Space Marine tanks. Roll a 1 and the vehicle dies. Oh my god. Yeah. Plasma just needs change. Just do a mortal wound to the guy. That's enough of a penalty for firing plasma, honestly. I would rather that they made the plasma units more expensive if they just took a mortal wound. But honestly, I don't think they need to be. Like, Tau plasma is 3 damage a shot. Strength 8 minus 4, 3 damage a shot. And they don't take any negative for whatever. Yeah, I mean, Tau plasma is great, right? Okay, Nathan. We start with Dante. He's not the Warlord. He's got the Infernal Pistol and the Axe Mortalis. Isn't it sad that Dante gets picked but he isn't the Warlord? Does that not just prove how he needs some love, right? Primaris, Captain on the Bike. Artisan of War, Mantra of Strength, Gift of Foresight, Canticle of Hate, Adamantium Mantle, Armor Indomitus. So the very survivable Chaplain on a Bike, probably designed to just Angel Sacrifice, can do a bit of damage with Mantra of Strength up, has a Shrug, has like 8 wounds, has the Armor Indomitus. We all love him even at 150 points. And then we've got the Sangri Priest, who is running the Teeth of Terra, and he's been upgraded to the Chief Apothecary, but hasn't been given the Selfless Healer Warlord trait. Interestingly, I think that might be a mistake. I imagine, I mean, he's starting with 10 CP. I don't think you upgrade him to the Chief Apothecary without giving him the Selfless Healer. Like, Chief Apothecary just lets him heal 2 models a turn, and then you would pay 1 CP, I guess, per turn to you'd pay 1 CP per turn to res if you needed to res, I guess. Chief Apothecary. Yeah, okay. I mean, maybe that's the plan. I literally don't think I've ever seen this before. John had a busy weekend, 2 wins, Trust White Scars and Necrons. Congrats, John. I wish we could just discuss the Dante thing verbally in real time. I mean, I've discussed Dante so many times with the guys on the Grots channel, Reziel. We just don't see eye to eye on Dante. A lot of people like Dante. I just don't think he's survivable enough. It's my strategy. I play with maximum survivability in mind, I guess. And Dante just doesn't fit that. I mean, I haven't run him since Armor of Contempt comes out, but 165 points for a 2 damage weapon, I'm honestly not going to. I mean, if I wanted a cheap character to Angel Sacrifice on, I would make one. If I wanted a character that does a lot of damage in melee, I would make one, and I don't think Dante's either of those for me. Okay, Assault Intercessor Squad times 2, Infiltrators and Intercessors. Now, the one thing I want to say is, like, I don't really think there's ever a need, or you should probably never run more than 3 squads of troops. Unless you have a very distinct plan for it. Auto Bolt Rifle Intercessors. Maybe they got a tiny bit better with the Armor of Contempt change, but I don't think they're that brilliant, really, at all. I think Incursors are better. I also think 2 squads of Assault Intercessors, like, trying to get them across the board is pretty rough. So I'm not a huge fan on these troop choices. Elites, we've got Blade Guard, we've got a 4-man Blade Guard veteran squad. Dante or Librarian Dreadnought. I mean, it depends on what you want to do, right? They have pretty different roles, I would guess. The Death Company with the 5 Thunderhammers. Interesting. All right, cool. We've seen that. We've seen how we've been told how effective that is today. A Redemptor with the Frag Storms, the Rocket Pods, the Plasma and Onslaught. And honestly, I would just always take the Stormbolters on the Redemptor. The Stormbolters are going to get 4 shots at 24 and 8 shots at 12. And the Stormbolters can be shot in combat. The Frag Storms are going to average 7 shots all the time, but can't be shot in combat. I think you want your Redemptor in combat, so why not just have another gun that can shoot in combat, I feel like. And it's minor, but it's fine. 5-man Sangri Guard, 2 axes, 3 swords. I think 5 is a little bit too small for Sangri Guard. I think you're much better off with 7. We've talked about that a lot in the stream already. And then 10 Vanguard veterans, all with lightning claws and storm shields. And I guess you can combat squad the squad. That is absolutely fine. Eradicators, the melter rifle, and the that's the end of the list. Okay, hold on a minute. Vanguard veterans, Sangri Guard, Death Company with hammers, Blade Guard, and a Redemptor. Yeah, okay. I see what's up here. I think spending much more than 400 points on your characters is almost too much eggs in one basket, so to speak. Like, I much prefer spending around 400 points on characters, because I was looking at this list and I was like, where's the rest of the list? And I mean, maybe that's harsh to say, but I guess spending 470 points on characters and having that extra squad of troops, to me, potentially looks like 170 points missing. You know, like, I was at the end of the list and I was like, where's the other unit? Because I don't think you need 4 squads of troops. You also have a spare elite slot open here as well, I guess, because like you can have 6 elites. And it's like troops don't really kill things, right? They're kind of called troops for a reason, I guess, and elites are called elites for a reason. The 5-man Death Company squad makes sense because you can Forlorn Fury the 5 Thunderhammers, right? You've also got the Priest to get them an Assault Doctrine. You've got Dante to give them Chapter Master rerolls. So you've got like an Alpha Strike going on here. I'd honestly lose the Intercessors. And I'll probably replace one of these guys with Incursors. So you could free up 90 points straight away. I mean, 90 points to me is 3 more Sangri Guard, or just about, maybe 2 more and like a couple of weapon options. 3 damage weapons in this list seems low as well, right? We've got the 3 melter rifles. We've got the Macroplasma and the Claw and the Redemptor. That gives us 5. I guess we've got 5 Thunderhammers here, giving us 10. And then potentially, I guess, the Crozius of the Chaplain. So 11 3 damage weapons. It's a little bit low. I prefer 15 at the moment. I don't think if Dante is good or bad, it's whether he's not right for you. Okay, yeah, better way to put it, Stephen. Dante is not right for me. Maybe he's right for some of you guys. I could argue all day why he's not right for me. Okay, and I think we have a video coming up on the Grots channel this week that mentions Dante briefly as well. Troops do nothing more than tick boxes. I mean, they hold objectives and they occasionally flip objectives with OBSEC, right? But yeah, 470 points on HQ is like really pushing the boundaries. And again, that's probably one of the reasons I don't run the Priest. He's like super expensive. My biggest successes at tournaments have come when I've kept my HQ around 400 points. I don't like going over that. I don't like going over 3 characters. I don't like 4 troop choices, and I think we need some Incursors in here because I think if you're gonna Forlorn Fury a 5-man Death Company with Thunderhammers, you want some backup. Like, you want the Death Company to be able to be backed up, or you want another charge somewhere in the battlefield. You can't do that with Intercessors. You can't do that with Assault Intercessors. You can't do that with Infiltrators either, to be honest. But you can do it with Incursors. recently I've dropped Blade Guard. And I actually don't remember speaking about the Blade Guard too much in my presentation from this week about Storm Shields. Are Storm Shields worth it? Let me pull this up 1 second. How did Blade Guard do? So, against AP 0, they were right up there with Terminators. Against AP 1, they're about half as survivable as Terminators. Against AP 2, a little bit stronger than Sangri Guard. AP 3, I guess, holding on with Terminators. And AP 4. Yeah, do you know what? The Blade Guard, on the maths, the Blade Guard are certainly not bad. I just think they're hard to... The Blade Guard, to me, are more of a defensive unit, I think, than an offensive unit, right? Like, 3 of them in cover, holding an objective, I think is great. 5 of them walking into the center of the board trying to, like, Oath of Moment is bad, because every time I try that, even if I try and jump from cover to cover, they get shot off the table. You can't always get them cover to cover because they obviously are on foot. So Blade Guard are fine if this is a defensive unit. If this is an offensive unit, I don't like it. And if it's not an offensive unit, then you've just got Lightning Claws and you've just got a very small squad of Sangri Guard. Since more armies have AOC than not, aren't Infiltrators new kings, since Incursor's AP1 is useless? Sure, I suppose Incursor's AP -1 against some factions is useless, yes. Infiltrators, though, they're 15 points more. They're literally no more survivable. I don't know. Someone actually said that they felt that we should just take a squad of heavy intercessors and just march them to the center now that Gravis... I mean, in that slides that I just had up, I guess, like... you know, let's have a quick look. Against AP0, Gravis are okay. Against AP1, you know, they keep up with Blade Guard. Against AP2, again, they keep up with Blade Guard. Against AP3, they're keeping up with Terminators and Blade Guard. And anytime this is -1 damage, you can pay a stratagem and make the Gravis more survivable as well. So, I mean, technically, heavy intercessors are maybe okay for just throwing them into the middle of the board now and obsecking whatever there. But I mean, that's a whole other conversation. How do I change this list? I don't think my problem with Blade Guard is survivability. I think it's mobility. That's why Terminators are good, right? We're waiting for Gravis Assault Intercessors. We need some sort of deep strike for the Gravis. 07 Commander, says John YK Kaput. I'm not sure what you mean by 07, John. So I'd lose a troop squad. I personally don't like this many points of HQ, but I don't really want to mess with the HQ in your list. Minimum changes I would do would be lose the intercessors, get a squad of incursors, and then get like 2 more Sangri Guard. That's 64 points. Get an Infernal Pistol in there. That's 69. That leaves you like 20 points left over. Swap out this Frag Storm, I guess, and with the 20 points left over, replace 2 of these Lightning Claws with Thunderhammers. So then when you combat the squad, you've got a Thunderhammer in each squad, because Lightning Claws are 9. Sorry, Lightning Claws are 3, a Thunderhammer is 12, so it's 9 point more. So you had 20 points left over, like I said, or 21 points. So this would let you take 2 Thunderhammers. So that would give you 2 more 3 damage weapons. It would give you 2 more Sangri Guard and Infernal Pistols. That's another 3 damage weapon. You'd lose the Auto Bolt Rifles. You'd have another unit that can forward deploy and back up the Forlorn Fury and Death Company. And Yeah, you don't have any whirlwind, but I mean, you've spent 460, 70 points on characters. I don't think you have the points left at that point to have a whirlwind. So, I mean, that's your call. Maybe you charge with Dante and Dante try. Maybe you charge with Dante as a sacrificial lamb so you can make charges with other units, right? Let me bring up this point scoring. Where is that? Here. So Nathan, at the moment, he does have 4 troop choices. So I guess we'll probably give him a 9 for OBSEC, but I really think you need to flick that out. Anti-horde firepower, we have like an onslaught Gatling cannon and a frag storm grenade launcher, maybe some random bolter fire elsewhere. I don't think anti-horde is very strong at all in this list. 3 damage weapons was better, but it could be even better if you make some of the changes I mentioned. I guess you've got 3 characters that can all kill pretty effectively. The Death Company with all those hammers, the Vanguard Veterans, the Eradicators. Yeah, Anti-Monster 9. I think it could be a 9.5 if you make some of those changes. Mobility-wise, overall, I think is decent, but you do have a lot of slow troop choices, and again, you could fix that. The Eradicators are always immobile, so we'll go with like an 8 point. I think an 8, because I think there is changes to be made there. And specialization, so no Overwatch or Fight Last, no denies. Units for actions, I guess you've got the extra squad of troops, so we've got that. 3 damage weapons is right on the borderline. Protection against mortal wounds, well, we've got that from our Sangri Priest to a certain extent. It was very strange that we haven't taken the Selfless Healer. I think if you've paid the extra points to make him Chief Apothecary, you kind of want to pay the CP for Selfless Healer, because I guess if you revive even a single model once, then you've made that CP back, because it costs 1 anyway. And starting with 8 CP is fine. So I think maybe like... I'd say it's an 8 for specialization. You know what, maybe it's an 8.5 actually. I mean, the only thing he doesn't have is the denies in the Overwatch. But I mean, Dante in the Fight Last. So yeah, I mean, it's a decent scoring list as well. But I think all these lists could be tweaked a little bit today. And obviously, like, my style of playing Blood Angels is very different to what a lot of other people play. I want to try out 9 Flame Aggressors. I got them yesterday. I can't decide how to run them. 1 6-man, 3 3-man, or a 4 and a 5. I'll be playing Necron Warrior lists. I suppose the only reason to run them out with the 3x3 is elite slots, brewing biscuits, and if you are running some sort of priest and you want to revive them. If you want 4 troops, just take 10-man assault intercessors, can combat squad if you want the benefits from fighting twice. I don't think you need 4 troops. I think it's the wrong call. I mean, I just don't think you need that many troop choices. 4 aggressors is excellent, says John Turner. Aggressors got a lot of value. They did get a lot of value added to them, I guess. And I kind of wish I'd added Centurions to those Storm Shield slides now that people have mentioned they want to see Centurions, how they survive. I am 50-50 on taking Centurions to the battle tomorrow. Maybe I'll add Centurions and we'll do it. We'll look at it soon. So yeah, I think that's about it for these 3 lists then. Chris, JW, Nathan, thank you for submitting the lists. I think flame aggressors are probably really valuable now. Like I think they could probably do a lot of work. I mean, it seems like on the math, aggressors are as survivable as Blade Guard veterans now. It seems like, with Armor of Contempt, which is It's strange to say, but I guess it's just the way that it's mad to say like 1 point of AP has changed so many things, right? All right. So yeah, tomorrow night, game against Tau. Andrew's apparently dropped the Storm Surge. He's bringing back the broadside battle suits, so it should be interesting. We did beat Tau last week. I think we can probably beat him again. You would give them Hurricane Bolters for range, but the cost goes up. Yeah. Well, I mean the math doesn't lie, right? So Storm Shields. Against burst cannons, so AP 0, aggressors are 3/4 of as survivable as like Blade Guard vets, Terminators, but they keep up with Sangri Guard. Now they're a bit more expensive than Sangri Guard, so that's not great. But against -1 AP, I guess they keep up with the Blade Guard, they keep up with Vanguard veterans. Again, they're a bit more expensive, but it's not bad. Against -2, again, they keep up with the Blade Guard and the Sangri Guard, but again, they're a little bit more expensive. And then against -3, they're kind of keeping up with the Blade Guard and the Terminators. Yeah. I don't think Gravis got quite a good amount of value out of Armor of Contempt as well. Against 2 damage weapons as well. I mean, like they're even ahead of Blade Guard veterans. Against 2 damage -2. So yeah, Gravis did get some good value. I'm wondering if I Alright, well I mean the army list part of the show is kind of done, right? I'm wondering if I have, because I made all this crap in a spreadsheet. I have so many spreadsheets though. Which one would it be? Give me a second. Old spreadsheet with durability. I need to get better at naming my spreadsheets, honestly. Think, is there a tab behind? No. I think I got the. I think I've. Yeah, I've got the spreadsheet that I did all this work in, right? That, yeah, point efficiency. Yeah, I mean, the amount of time I spent on math each week, Highland Phoenix, is crazy. So a Centurion has toughness 5 and 4 wounds. That's correct, right? I haven't played my Centurions in ages. Centurion Assault Squad. Toughness 5 and 4 wounds, yes. So, like, if I just added a column here for Centurions. Right. I'm going to call it Assault Centurions because I don't run shooting Centurions. I mean, some people might, but I definitely don't run them. Right. So, if Assault Centurions, Strength 5, 0 AP, 1 damage. They're going to take 48 shots. We'll put them in gold because I just want them. You know what? We'll put them in magenta. Is that readable? Not the greatest. I just want them in a color that I've got nothing else in. Cyan, then. Okay. Yeah, we'll do cyan. That should be readable, right? So, Centurions into the burst cannons. Strength 5, 0 AP, 1 damage. They're going to survive 48 hits. Let's do Centurions into assault cannons. Strength 6, -1, which becomes -0. They're going to survive 36 hits. Centurions into -2, strength 7, 1 damage. They're going to survive 18. I mean, it probably makes sense that they're gonna be the most survivable. It's just a question of like if we rate it. Strength 7 -2, 2 damage. That becomes -1. The previous slide was -2, wasn't it? Yeah, so that becomes -1. So it's 9 shots. So they don't do so well against 2 damage weapons. The Terminators are just as survivable. Even though they have more even though the Centurions have more toughness, it doesn't help at all against like the strength 7 -1. Against the strength 8 -1, 2 damage, Centurions are gonna take 9. Oh right, yeah, because the Ion Blaster is double the strength of the Terminators, right? So the Centurions are ahead against Ion Blasters a little bit. I guess 20% more survivable. Is this per model? No, this is just the number of shots that needs to kill a single model. Yes, that's what this is. So if Tower's shooting Ionic Blasters, and forget about hits, assume that they're hitting. So they need to wound a Terminator 7.2 times to kill one, right? Because essentially the Terminator would need to fail 2 saves, and he saves on against -2 on a 3-up. The math does get pretty complicated. Plasmas, -8, 2 damage, 2. Centurions are 6. And Fusion Blasters -4, 3.5 damage, because it's a multi-melt and it's nasty. I guess 4.5. And the 3 damage from the Tau Gun, again, it's 4.5. You know, when you look at it like that, against some of the harder hitting stuff, like -4 plasma rifles, like they need to make 4.5 wound rolls to kill a Centurion. Because they only wound on 3s and then we save on 5s. And is that right? This always confuses me, right? So they hit this Centurion 4.5 times, right? They're strength 8, so they wound on 3s. So they wound 0.66666. And then the Centurion saves on a 5 because it's a 2-up. -3, but it would be -4, but you know, 666. And they do need. No, that's wrong. Divided by 666. Sorry. Fuck, start over. 4.5 times 0.66. And then save on 5s. So it would be times 0.333. I'm confused. These numbers even confuse me. What am I doing wrong? So 4.5 hits on a Centurion. We wound 0.6. We wound on 3s. So we have 3. Ah, that's right. So we have 3 saves to take, but we save on 5+, so we fail 2 of them. So yeah, I should have times it by 0.666. So the number of failed saves. So two saves are failed. So that kills the Centurion because the Fusion Blaster on average does 3.5 damage. But yeah, so that's what I was saying. The numbers confuse even me. This is where you want the Priest back, yeah, so you can just res a Centurion and they're super tanky. But yeah, so against against these big 3 damage weapons with -4, Centurions are out surviving Terminators to a ratio of like just almost 2 to 1. Against -3, what, they're 20%, 30% more survivable against 2 damage weapons. Against -2, it's the same. But yeah, point efficiency then comes in because Centurions are expensive, 55 points a model. If you keep them cheap, I guess, versus Terminators, which can be as low as 33 points a model, I think, for Terminators with Lightning Claws, double Lightning Claws. But then, I mean, I guess you have to factor in damage output. Do people want to see a video, Terminators versus Centurions again? Like, is that worth re-looking into? Bear in mind, the other thing that's nice about Centurions is that their drills are -4. So, hey, not many people are saving against -4, right? Centurions, they don't quite cost double. I think they're good with double flamer. They don't need anything else on them. The whole point of Centurions is just get them into melee combat, right? People are overlooking feel no pain on multi-wound models. Better with Centurions, more wounds. That's true as well, I suppose. I did like the Centurions a lot. When I used to run the Priest, I ran Centurions. 9 power level is cool as well, I suppose. So you could just 1 CP them strategic reserve. I'm probably going to do that in a couple of games, actually, you know? Sam says, hear me out, 5 Centurions and a Land Raider. I mean, if Land Raiders weren't totally shit, I might be on board with it, but I tried running Land Raiders a few weeks ago and I just hate them. Yeah. I lost the game because I ran Land Raiders, basically. But anyway, I'm going to have to wrap the stream there. I'm going to be back tomorrow night for a live game against Tau, so I appreciate if any of you guys want to check that game out tomorrow night. And then, yeah, as always, we'll be back later this week. I think we have a podcast coming out on Thursday. I'll probably do some painting on Thursday night, and then new tactics video coming out on Friday. You don't need Hurricane Bolters if you've got 66 Flamer shots, Highland Phoenix. 66 Flamers will be fine enough for Hordes, I guess, I think. In all fairness, you shouldn't run more than 1 Randall Raider. That is very true, I suppose. Not many people have Blood Angel Centurions. I wonder how many people actually have 5 Blood Angel Centurions, because Centurions we only really started being able to run them in 9th edition, right? When we became Codex compliant. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys. If you did enjoy tonight's stream, please consider hitting the like button. If you are new here, as always, I do appreciate all the subscriptions. It's very much appreciated. I'll catch you guys I'll catch you guys tomorrow night, hopefully. And thank you so much for the new members that... did we get a new member? We definitely got some new members last night. If I didn't thank you, I do appreciate the new members. And hopefully I give you guys some insight on the lists. Final thing then, next week's lists are Lagmeister, Steve West, and Dutster. So I'll catch you guys next Sunday night, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. By the blood army made strong. Peace.